Hey y'all, I'm in the midst of running some errands here, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about something that's on my mind, and that is the phenomenon of the lolcow. Now, I'm really on the older side to be using the term lolcow. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what a lolcow is, but please. Don't think I'm trying to be hip or cool by using that word. For those who don't know, a lolcow essentially can be defined as somebody who is on the internet and who does not know that he is making an idiot of himself or embarrassing himself. And the reason why he's called a lolcow is because lol is LOL, and the idea is you milk this person for laughs, and that's all the person is good for, is to be laughed at, and the laughs are always at the person's expense. That's what has to be. That's what's, when it's a lolcow lacks the self-awareness of knowing how he's coming across. Either that, or perhaps he doesn't care. It's sometimes hard to tell. He might just be completely shameless. Or he might just have no self-awareness at all. And it's sort of hard to tell. There's a continuum there between those two extremes. Those aren't really extremes. Those are like two kinds of people who would come across the same way. And it's sometimes hard to tell which is which. But in any case, it's somebody who, if they don't have shame, they seem somehow immune to shame, or they've somewhere deep down made the decision to forget about shame and just proceed forward with whatever they feel like doing at the given time. So I think a lolcow is someone who mostly somebody who lacks self-awareness, or could be someone who is intentionally being acting in an embarrassing way, in a cringe way. Quote, I'm putting that word in quotes, cringe way. So that's the definition of a lolcow. And what I find is that the internet itself makes us all, makes the temptation to become a lolcow very, very tempting. Before the internet was a thing, before social media was a thing, before YouTube, before you were enabled to just put on your own show, as it were, before you were able to have either a YouTube channel or your own blog or your own social media page or whatever, before any of that was even in the offing, it was much harder to be an exhibitionist. It was much harder to be somebody who was that prone to embarrassing himself. You had to be just really public a lot. You had to be around other people a lot, and prone to just doing embarrassing things, saying embarrassing things around other people. And we can all think of people like that. And some of us maybe have been at some point people like that. And that's what part of what I want to say here is I think there's really a plastic, there's a kind of, the line between internet user and lolcow is not, there's always a temptation to become a lolcow when you are somebody who is on the internet calling attention to yourself for whatever reason, either because you want to chronicle something interesting or tell tell people how you feel about things, or share your life, or whatever. There is the danger of turning into a lolcow. It's ever present, and I think I've probably stepped over the line a few times myself. I'm very self-aware, so I don't think I could just go totally off the rails. But I know that there have been times where I have behaved in a way that I'm not proud of, or that I'm not. That's, the internet does not tend to bring out the best in people, and you have to push against the tide to bring out the best in yourself when you're on the internet more often than not. So people who have people who want to, who have a performative personality in some way, people who want to put on a show in one way or another for the world. These are the ones who are most drawn to the internet. And it used to be those kinds of people, would just be, I don't know, would audition for plays, or, some of them maybe if they were good looking enough, they would fly out to Hollywood and try to make it there, and probably get used and abused in the worst possible ways imaginable. But others would just, sort of do their thing. They would find a way to get out their performative impulses, whether it was, playing guitar for your family at a family gathering, or something my mother would do when she was a little younger. She would play Madame Xanthar, who was, I don't know if she made this character up or if it was something that she borrowed from somewhere else, but Madame Xanthar was this gypsy who could look into the crystal ball or tell you things about your life and stuff like that. So my mother was, would sometimes do that, try to be fun in that sort of way, and that was obviously somewhat cringe. And my father isn't really that same way, but he does like to perform in his own way. He's been a teacher his whole life. He very much enjoys being up in front of a classroom in a way that I don't. I've taught a few years, and it doesn't come naturally to me the way it does to my father. So he also is a performer in his own sort of way. But of course, my mother and my father were both around. They were in their prime and out of their prime well before the internet ever came into our lives. And for someone like me, you know, I lived a good chunk of my life without the internet. And during that time, I would, you know, I was sort of a theater kid, and I was in a band for a while, and but I wasn't really ever a musician. I just liked to perform. I mean, I could play the bass slightly adequately in a very primitive way, but mostly I liked to sing, even though I didn't really have a trained singing voice, and it was the performance that I enjoyed more than the musicianship, really. I liked music, but I wasn't ever, you know, I was never a music theory guy. I never really into music in that more scientific, I guess, or more precise kind of way. But it was really something when I became aware that there was this thing called YouTube, and that I could get on YouTube and you know, and this was in 2017. It started out with a bang. It's my YouTube channel started out with me going to Charlottesville during the Charlottesville events in August of 2017. Unfortunately, those videos are no longer accessible because I accumulated 3 strikes, and YouTube obliterated all of my material. But that's a different story. Anyway, I've been, you know, doing videos now for a little while, and it's, you know, I'm aware of the temptation to share stuff about yourself that it's best not to share. And I avoid that for the most part. For the most part, I do. But not always. There have been times I've shared things that I've been, that I've felt afterwards, ooh, I shouldn't have talked about that. There have been a couple of videos that I've even erased, deleted, after I thought about it later. So there's something about the, you know, when I watch a video about lolcows and I see them, you know, some of them are really funny. Some of them are really, really sad, and you feel bad about watching them because they're, you know, they really ought not to be. There's something wrong with they ought to be. I'm not going to say in an asylum, but they ought to be getting help of some kind. I'm not big into the mental health field, but in any case, they're not doing themselves any favors by being online, and they're not making any friends. They're just the only people that are coming on are people that are messing with them. And they don't know that, or they don't. Again, maybe the shame centers of their body. Maybe they're just not very bright, or maybe the you know, their wiring is different. They're neurodivergent, or maybe the shame centers of their brain just is non-operational, and so they end up their desire to be heard, to perform in front of others in whatever way they're performing. Some of them aren't performing in a very interesting or exciting way. Some of them are just playing video games all the time, which is not not much of a performance, if you ask me. But they still, get put into situations where they are laughed at, and hence the title Lolcow. People laugh out loud at them, and they are milked for their laughs. I want to explore the Lolcow more, and I'm thinking of taking on a Lolcow persona, because I feel in some ways like I'm just, I don't know how far away I am. And maybe to some of y'all out there, I am a Lolcow already. But I'd like to. I think there may be a kind of there's certainly a freedom to letting your inner Lolcow out, because you're it's the prison of self-awareness. You're freed from that prison. You're freed from the prison of caring what people think of you, or knowing that this is going to be embarrassing, or knowing that this is going to be degrading or disturbing or gross to share, but I'm going to share it anyway, just because I like attention, and maybe this will get me some attention. Yeah, it's a phenomenon I don't totally have a handle on, but you might be seeing a little more Lolcow. I might start adopting the Lolcow persona, an alternate persona in the future. That is my Lolcow persona, and we'll see how that goes.